Hey, hello everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Is anyone here? Hello. Hi. So, we're gonna have fun today with some conspiracy theories, even though I don't listen, everything could be real, right? If you can imagine it, and there is a Mossad agent or a CIA agent or any agent around the world that didn't imagine it as well, then I would say they're incompetent because they are supposed to be imagining all those conspiracies so that they could do their work. It's actually their job. So we're gonna have fun today. We're gonna have fun with those kind of thinking, and we're gonna explore it because guess what? I'm not here to defend anyone. In fact, I'm here to add oil to the fire. Oh, thank you, cat lady, saying I look fine today. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Hello. Hello. Yes, I am healthier today. Thank goodness. Oh. I know. How is the situation in Israel? Well, there are missiles from Yemen from time to time, so I've heard. And I actually heard a boom, and I didn't even bother check what it hit. So considering the fact that I actually heard a boom, it might have hit something, but I don't know what it is. Oh, Crunch, speak do English. Why? There not everybody here speaks Hebrew. You wanna be friendly. Hello, Lone Wolf. Hello, Gentile Zionist. And watermelons. It's not watermelon season yet, but we're getting there, no doubt. We're getting there. I hope watermelons this year are gonna be sweet and good. Last year they were great. Stop purple pulp. Whoa! RK69. Oh my god. I forgot. Alright, so I had that epiphany at nighttime. I was about to go to sleep and I was like, dreaming. And then I was like, I've been hearing a lot of comments about Great Israel lately. What if I made a video which is practical guide of how to make that happen, right? Like, because thinking about how not to make it happen is just boring because that requires absolutely taking no action, which is always the boring way to go. So I thought, maybe I should make a video explaining exactly how Greater Israel would come to fruition. And I forgot that I had that amazing thought because I probably just fell asleep. I actually think I wrote it. In my I have it here even. No. Did I write it? Yes, I did. But my nighttime handwriting is absolutely unreadable. So thank you for this reminder. All right. Oh, good luck with the bio exam tomorrow. So yeah, that's who we are. Kevin, are you feeling flirty today? Okay, here's the plan. I have a couple of videos open here. One of them is what I have in my thumbnail, talking about the declassified JFK files point to U.S. allies' involvement in assassination. Oh my God. Okay. I have a couple of articles, wildcards that would add oil to the fire, that would make the fire bigger, and they're in Hebrew. So I'm gonna translate it to you, but it's fun. And I have also opened the JFK files, Epstein and the Deep State, Mike Benz. This is an interview that was conducted by Trigonometry. Funnily enough, he called out a lot of the things that seem to actually appear in the JFK files, before they were released. Well, apparently he heard directly from mafia people that there is an involvement that they had with the JFK files. But I thought, let's start with the fun part. Okay, so let me talk and let me share with you. I'm an Iranian and also a Zionist. Well, welcome. Oh, heart. Okay, so let's start with Professor Nez. Does anyone here know Professor Nez? Just just as an ask. Do you guys know him? Because I used him. Okay, so he worked in higher education, and he spilled the beans about some of the things that are going on behind the scenes in the academy, Harvard and stuff like that. And I used that segment where he spoke of it. Well, I guess he really is a professor since he calls himself Professor Nez. I used those segments in my anti-Semitism video. And I really like him. He's really funny. And yeah, I think he's very amusing. And I love that he made this video. So I actually do that. Like I know a lot of people are like not happy that Israel has been tied to the JFK murder, and there is a lot of conspiracy theories because Kennedy was known to oppose the Israeli nuclear program that we might have or might not have. It's still ambiguous. And then Nixon, who came after him, had an agreement that Israel would just keep it ambiguous, and that way the US can just ignore it, and they sweep it under the rug, and that's how it was dealt. And the president after Kennedy, so it made sense for a lot of people that Israel would want Kennedy to go somewhere else, where he could not be so bothersome and annoying when it comes to a couple of maybe little bombs that Israel wanted to have. But here's the thing. The timeline doesn't really work out with that conspiracy theory when it comes to Israel. Because if you consider the fact that Israel probably developed its nukes, allegedly, that it might or might not have, with France, there is this notion that Israel actually had nukes when France tested the nukes. So it was a joint testing of nuclear power when France tested their bombs. And that was in 1960, if I'm not mistaken, meaning by the time Kennedy had been eliminated, it was probably too late to tell Israel not to have those weapons. Israel might have already possessed them. So I kind of feel like it's more likely that even if Israel had this tension point with Kennedy, they didn't. First of all, can you imagine the size of balls you have to actually do that? But there is, and the other option, which Israel just enabling that. And then there is no difference between Israel enabling that or the mafia enabling that or the CIA enabling that or Cuba or the Brits. But literally those files mention everyone. It seems like everybody had a little bit of information about it, but nobody stopped it necessarily or thought that it could get to it. So yeah, there are a lot of theories. Like story goes with JFK was in the way of organized crime. We don't know. It probably annoyed someone. For sure, the shooter was annoyed about Kennedy. So, Joshua, thank you for support. Nice to see you. Space lasers. Well, space lasers came in the 80s. So that's the 60s we're talking about. So, not yet, not yet. Anyway, yeah, so the timeline doesn't work. But it's not fun if we do not play with the idea that Israel had purposefully something to do with it. So let's suspend logic and have fun with it instead of being like, oh, no way, Israel is a why are Israelis becoming vegan and vegetarian? I don't know, because their balls are falling out. I have no idea. Yeah. Maybe too much radiation from the nuke experiments had weakened the Israelis' ability to be manly, and they start eating vegetarian and vegan food. And I'm just kidding. To be honest, it's the same, probably more like the same reason India is vegetarian and vegan. Israel is just really like vegetarian and like vegetables. Israelis, I think, eat the most vegetables on earth. So every meal has vegetables for the average Israeli. So it's way more than any others. So it just makes sense with the diet here, I guess, for a lot of people. And then others would say, well, I don't know. Just, it's not too hard if you already eat so much non-meat food. So, right, saying India is not vegetarian. A lot of Indians are vegetarian or somewhat vegetarian. So I know, like, if you eat a lot of lentil, if you like my grandpa, right, he eats meat. He is forced to eat meat by my dad, because my dad monitors his blood test results. So every Friday, he pushes meat into my grandpa's plate, which my grandpa tries to shove away. But that's because, like, most of the time, he prefers lentils or vegetables or not meat, which really drives my dad crazy, because he needs to eat more meat according to his blood test results. So please tell me. I eat meat all the time. In fact, I lose my mind when I don't eat meat. And I would say I start losing my mind 3 days. I am completely like, if I don't eat meat, like I become a little bit dangerous. I don't know how people do it. I eat on my naturally. I eat meat several times a day. Like beef, chicken, fish, something. I don't have low iron. Somebody is suggesting. I actually don't have low iron. I don't have any iron deficiencies. But still, like, I don't know how people do it without meat. I was like traveling. I was a vegetarian for a week or so because of the situationship I was at. Meaning there was no, it was like a, I was a vacation. It was like a no meat resort. It was torture. And yeah. And Joshua, what are you saying? I heard that little green man did in Canada with the microwaves. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So let's see what Professor Nez has to say here about this, because I think it's gonna be fun, and let's react to it. It's kind of long.
That this was just the beginning, that there are thousands and thousands of files being released kind of in piecemeal, 80,000 in total in the National Archives for the JFK MLK assassination files that President Trump signed an executive order. Yesterday, we talked about this. Newly released JFK files reveal that the CIA connected Gary Underhill fled Washington the day after Kennedy's assassination, claiming a small CIA clique was responsible. Less than 6 months later, he was found dead in his apartment with a gunshot wound behind his ear, which, remember, he was left-handed. His friends said he was a little bit shook, but what was odd about the coroner's report is it said that he was left-handed when he was right-handed. And so I talked about this yesterday. If you missed that video, highly, highly improbable that that's what happened. And then we also had this letter from the ambassador of Russia just a few months before the assassination, who essentially said, I know Lee Harvey Oswald is going to go after Kennedy. He also said, I know who will kill Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We talked about that yesterday and a whole lot more. Well, today, a new file has absolutely opened the eyes of a whole new window of possibilities and just complete absurdity and insanity. This document here that I'm going to examine has severe significance with the CIA's coordinated efforts to redact a certain term and a certain bureau, which I will talk about at great length in just a few minutes. But this document that was just recently unredacted last night in the release of the JFK files, there's a highlighted area here that I'm going to kind of zoom in on, where the document says, we now have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews.
By the way, I hid my face so I wouldn't hide the whatever he's reading.
As soon as we or they take care of Kennedy. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Do we appreciate the mystery building? I appreciate it.
My fellow Americans, my fellow global citizens, there is now some new information that in some way, shape, or form connects Israel as being somebody who perhaps...
Okay, so I know this is like Israel, it's the Jews, but to be honest, like, I appreciate the attention. Okay, because Professor Nez doesn't talk much about Israel. And I like him. I like his vibes. And then when he talks about us, sometimes he did make a video about Trump and Netanyahu meeting, which was cute. But now it's like, yes, you're giving us attention. Because I followed him when he was like a very small channel, and then I would get a lot of attention from him when I would comment. And now we don't get attention. I don't get attention. And like I would write like the Israeli perspective in the comments, but I don't get attention anymore because he's big. A lot of viewers. He gets a lot of viewers. And therefore, I love this attention. They're like, yeah, he said Israel. Okay, let's go back again. And hear the name of Israel, which I really appreciate. Which I know it's not me, but it's like, you see how brainwashed I am to be patriotic? Just like somebody saying the name Israel, I'm like, yes, Israel, Israel. Ooh.
Of Kennedy. So, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, my fellow global citizens, there is now some new information that in some way, shape, or form connects Israel as being somebody who perhaps the secret agency of Mossad, one of our biggest allies in the Middle East, having something to do with the assassination of a United States president, John F. Kennedy. So I've dissected this in my handy outline as I always do. And so let me just go over this. The memo is a historical document from the U.S. Secret Service dated December 3rd, 1963. That's just a few months, that's just a few days after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22nd. It was written by Secret Service agents Edward Z. Tucker and Joseph E. Noonan, based on the information they received from another agent, Thomas Mosley, in Chicago. The memo is about Lee Harvey Oswald, the man accused, and a group, quote unquote, which I will talk about at great length, in Chicago that Mosley was in contact with, who may have been involved. So what does the memo say about this group? Thomas Mosley, a Secret Service agent informant, had been in touch with a group in Chicago that included people of Cuban descent. So I talked.
A Secret Service informant. That means he was a source. Okay, so I'm gonna confess. It's a confession. My terminology in English when it comes to Secret Service is lacking. So correct me if I'm wrong. Informant means he doesn't work directly. He just gives information, right, to the Secret Service. Meaning that's a free person that can do whatever they want. Except like at some points, there is some information that he has to give. Which, by the way, that means like, doesn't mean much because everybody can be an informant if they're just in a strategic position.
Talked yesterday a lot about Castro, Bay of Pigs, Khrushchev putting missiles, how the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned America about before leaving office in the 50s, was all over JFK, saying, dude, you've got missiles by our greatest adversary, the Soviet Union, 90 miles off the coast of Florida. What are you going to do? You got to attack, you got to attack, you got to attack. Essentially, with all intents and purposes, wanting to incite World War III. Hot off the heels, just 10, 15 years hot off the heels of World War II ending. And President Kennedy paused. President Kennedy took a breath. So Cuba, Castro, Khrushchev.
I love the drama here about like President Kennedy. He stopped World War III. I love it.
Soviet Union, whole lot of stuff involved. Never mind the mob, never mind the CIA. This group was reportedly involved in Kennedy's assassination and had access to a variety of automatic weapons and explosives, suggesting they were dangerous and possibly planning violent activities. By the way, I will also share a link in the description to this actual document. The same thing I used to tell my classes when I was teaching at the university many, many years ago. Never believe a word I say. Verify everything. Do your own research.
Yeah, that's a good concept.
I think I've earned a lot of your trust. Most of you have been here for a very, very long time with us, and I love you guys. But
oh my God, pardon. Yours, I'm guessing you're being cynical, right? Like, obviously, informants make up stuff and lie all the time. A lot of time, informants are people who think they can play the system and, like, screw the service that they are informing to, which is very important. A lot of people get into that thinking they can fool the agents. By the way, they can. They really can. Just saying. And Tauntak is saying, don't be vegetarian or vegan. Thank you for your support. Yeah.
Anybody new who's watching this, I always advocate DYOR, do your own research. This group verified in the real world. The source of the information, this is important. This came from another Secret Service agent, Maurice G. Martineau in Chicago on November 26th, 1963. Now, Martineau had spoken with Deputy Chief Paul J. Paterni.
I love that he reads all that as if the information he's reading has any meaning at all. Like what everything he's reading right now about being an informant that has a connection with a violent group in Chicago. Well, maybe he wouldn't be an informant if he didn't have those kind of connections. Otherwise, why would you even try to talk to them? So you want to get people from the inside to get information. It doesn't mean anything. Literally, it doesn't mean anything. which is so funny because he reads it like so dramatically, but those things don't mean anything. Really don't.
In DC, who confirmed that this information was related to the Kennedy assassination. The memo suggests that this information should be shared with the FBI and that the Secret Service and FBI should work together to investigate further. So the details about Lee Harvey Oswald and a possible motive. The memo mentions that on the same day, November 26th, 1963, Mosley learned that the Chicago group had been trying to negotiate the sale of machine guns to someone named Homer S. Echevarria. Now, Echevarria reportedly said that this group had plenty of money and that they were ready to move forward with their plans, and that highlighted, as I showed you earlier in the memo, as soon as we or they take care of Kennedy. This statement suggests that Echevarria and his group might have been planning Kennedy's assassination and were waiting for it to happen before proceeding with their own activities. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second.
I like this interpretation. It also can mean that they might have blackmailed him or tried to bribe him. There is a lot of ways to take care of a person, not necessarily assassinate them. But, okay.
The memo highlights a specific phrase: our new backers are Jews.
Like maybe the English speakers here can tell me whether that can also mean mean that, like, if it only means that they would get rid of them, like as in get rid of this body. But there are so many ways to take care of someone. Like, you know, might be a lot of things, to be honest.
Jews, which Echevarria allegedly said, indicating that the group might have had financial support from Jewish individuals or organizations, though this is not confirmed in the memo. Now, before you guys jump to conclusions and before anybody says that doesn't mean Israel, I'm going to share with you some very, very substantive evidence that may suggest.
I mean, because it's Jews, right? Because Jews, well, let's be honest, Jews had to do a lot with the mafia. At least for a long time, Jews had to do a lot with the mafia. You know, the Godfather, it's not the Italian mafia the story is really based on. It's the Jewish mafia, from what I've understood. There is a real thing that is called the Jewish mafia. So it doesn't have to be Israel. It could literally be the mafia people who are Jewish. So I know Jews sound like that we're all connected, which I wish we were. Can you imagine? Like, even Israelis, right? Not all Israelis work for Israel. A lot of them work for other, and not for Israel, but for anti-Israel. Because I'm going to talk about it, because the trigonometry interview talks about Ehud Barak, my favorite little piece of shit. But he obviously doesn't mention him. Not in this video. It's irrelevant anyway.
Indeed have something to do with the Israeli Secret Service, known as Mossad, and Israel as a whole at that time. One thing I just want to say really quickly, JFK wanted to really eliminate the autonomy of the CIA when he became president. And he had a very visceral reaction and motive to prevent Israel from attaining nuclear weapons, citing that it would create bedlam in the Middle East. Now, what the memo suggests or implies here is that there might have been a broader conspiracy involving this Chicago group in Kennedy's assassination beyond just Lee Harvey Oswald. I think at this point, it is safe to assume with 99.99% certainty that Oswald definitely did not act alone, not even close. What the Warren Commission, what the government told the American people back in the 60s when this event, this tragedy took place, that it was just Lee Harvey Oswald that acted alone. I think by now that has been so refuted and debunked, it isn't even a possibility. It raises the possibility that the group had motives tied to political or financial interests, possibly involving anti-Kennedy sentiments or other agendas.
It raises the possibility that the group had motives tied to political or financial reasons or interests. Well, which one is it? Is it more political or financial? Who did that? Is it a ChatGPT kind of prompt?
This mention of Jews as backers could point to a specific angle of investigation, but also it's also a sensitive claim that would need careful verification, and it could reflect bias or misinformation. What the Secret Service planned to do, the agents recommended sharing this information with the FBI to conduct a joint investigation. They wanted to ensure a, quote, free flow of information between the two agencies to better understand the full scope of the assassination and any related threats. Now, what does this mean in simple terms? This memo suggests that the Secret Service had early evidence that Lee Harvey Oswald might not have acted alone in assassinating President Kennedy. There could have been a group in Chicago, possibly with Cuban connections, that was involved or at least aware of this plot. The group seemed to have weapons, money, and a plan that depended on Kennedy's death. What was that plan? The mention of new backers being Jewish adds a layer of complexity, hinting at a possible financial or political support from a specific community, but this claim is vague and unverified in this specific memo. But what I'm about to get into, holy macadamia nut, just hang around. It's going to get really interesting fast. The Secret Service wanted to investigate further and work with the FBI to see if this Chicago group was part of a larger conspiracy behind Kennedy's death. This memo is a piece of the puzzle.
They probably were cheering when he died because he was annoying to them. Aye. But yeah, I don't know. Kier Johnson, what are you saying? I'm Icelandic and we're not all connected. You guys literally shared, like, aren't you all cousins or something? Yeah, but still, like, even your cousin, just because somebody is your cousin, are you connected to all of your cousins? Yeah, it doesn't work this way, but you can talk to them, you know, possibly if needed. So anyway, thank you for your support. But I think it's funny. Like, I think it's fun, those conspiracy theories. Because, like, what is the other option? The other option that a lot of people didn't like Kennedy. So if some lunatic told them, oh man, I wish this person was dead, they'd be like, yeah, I know, man. It's so annoying. And then move on.
In the ongoing investigation into one of the most significant events in U.S. history, which has been subject to many theories and debates. Now, what is this group in Chicago? So I broke this down. So the memo that was written, again, by these two Secret Service agents.
You know what I want to know about? Didn't, like, Jeff Kennedy, like, isn't he the one that got, like, happy birthday to you, Mr. President kind of song? Kind of wonder what's there?
States that this guy Thomas Mosley had been in contact with a group in Chicago that included individuals of Cuban descent. This group was reportedly involved in the assassination of Kennedy and had access to a variety of automatic weapons. Additionally, this guy named Echevarria, associated with this group, allegedly said they had plenty of money and that their new backers were Jews. So who might this group be? Based on the memo
The mafia?
and the historical context, here are some possibilities of who I think this group might be. It could be Cuban exiles with anti-Castro motives. The mention of the group of Chicago Cubans points to Cuban exiles living in Chicago in the early 1960s. Many Cubans, remember this, fled to the U.S. after Castro's rise to power in 1959. Some of these exiles were fiercely anti-Castro and blamed Kennedy for the failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, a CIA-backed, if you don't remember, attempt to overthrow Castro that went disastrously wrong. They felt Kennedy abandoned the operation by withholding air support, leading to the capture or death of many Cuban exiles. I think even Kennedy himself admitted that could have been done a lot better. Chicago had a significant Cuban exile community at the time. Some of these groups were known to be involved in anti-Castro activities, including stockpiling weapons and planning operations against the Cuban government. The memo that I shared with you references this automatic weapons and explosives. So it kind of aligns with the kind of activities that these groups were known for. So who is this Homer guy,
So,
Echevarria?
can I offer like a boring explanation? So, here is what I looked for. History of the Jews in Cuba. The history of the Jews in Cuba goes back to the 1400s. This is Wikipedia I'm reading from. I'm just reading from my phone, by the way. Jewish Cubans, Cuban Jews, or Cubans of Jewish heritage have lived in the nation of Cuba for centuries. Some Cubans trace Jewish ancestry to Marranos, first converts to Christianity who came as colonists, blah, blah, blah. Where did Columbus land in the beginning? Anyway, here's the thing. More than 24,000 Jews lived in Cuba in 1924, and still more immigrated to the country in the 1930s. Following the 1959 Communist Revolution, 94% of the country's Jews emigrated, most of them to the United States. So, I don't know. Could it be just Cuban Jews that were part of the unhappy Cuban population? I don't know. Could be.
The memo names this guy as a member. Historical records indicate that Echevarria was a Cuban exile known for anti-Castro activist. He was involved with groups like the 30th of November movement, an anti-Castro organization named after a failed uprising against the Cuban government in 1956. Echevarria's statement about having plenty of money and waiting to, quote, take care of Kennedy suggests he might have been part of a faction that saw Kennedy's death as a step toward advancing their anti-Castro agenda. The mention of quote-unquote new backers being Jewish could imply financial support from individuals or organizations sympathetic to their cause. I'm not ruling out a possible organized crime connection because some anti-Castro Cuban groups in the U.S. had ties to organized crime, particularly the mafia, which also had reasons to dislike Kennedy. The Kennedy administration, through Attorney General RFK Jr.'s dad, had cracked down, Maha's dad, on organized crime, targeting figures like Sam Giancana, the Chicago.
So he said Cubans backed by Jews, not Jewish Cubans. Okay. Do you ever state where the Jews come from when you talk about the Jews? I only hear people say Jews. I never hear people say, yeah, that Iraqi Jew, or that Ethiopian Jew, or that Jew from Israel. Like, unless, I mean, maybe when it's Israelis, you just say Israeli. instead of Jew. So actually, I would say like the Jews are usually non-Israeli Jews, to be honest. So it's funny enough, but Jews are rarely Israeli Jews, because then it would be just Israelis, which is funny. But he said Cuban backed by Jews, not Jewish Cuban. But nobody ever says Cuban, something like nobody ever mentions where those Jews come from, usually. Jews are Jews. They're always just Jews. So, unless they're Israeli, and then they're Israelis, which is funny. So, to be honest, just them calling them Jews, like, kind of removes the possibility. Like, maybe in the 60s, people called Israelis just Jews as well. But from my experience, people sometimes even don't register Jews and Israelis in the same. Like, they are very close cells, but not exactly the same cell in their brain.
A mafia boss, Giancana and other mob leaders were also involved in CIA plots to assassinate Castro, often working with Cuban exiles. The Chicago connection in that memo might hint at a link between Cuban exiles in Chicago in that local organization. The outfit had a history of arms trafficking that could have been a source of the quote-unquote.
You're saying, does it matter? We know already that the Jews are always evil. I agree, my high, 100%. Jews from Dagestan. Do I know? I know Jews from Makhachkala is what? Makhachkala is Dagestan? I know Jews from Makhachkala. I think it's Dagestan. I don't know why my brain is like stuck right now. Yeah, it is. So yeah. But anyway, nobody ever says Jews from Dagestan. Though I know Jews from Dagestan, and some of them even had time in jail. So because like I know somebody who's from a Jewish person from Dagestan whose uncle was in jail because a man tried to kill his dog, and he shielded his dog, so he shot he shot his leg instead, right? Because he shielded the dog with his leg, and then he killed the man that tried to kill his dog, and then he sat in jail for some time. Don't mess with people from Dagestan, Jews or non-Jews.
Unquote automatic weapons and explosives. How might they be connected to Lee Harvey Oswald? There's no direct evidence, but just based on historical context and Oswald's activities, this is what I researched. So Oswald was known to have pro-Castro sympathies. In 1963, he was involved in the Fair Play for Cuba Committee, FPCC, which is a pro-Castro organization, and even set up a one-man chapter in New Orleans. He was arrested in New Orleans in August of 1950 for distributing
Where's the Jews? Like, I want a better connection. Come on. I get it. Like, even though, like, I'll be honest, like, I checked Wikipedia. Wikipedia mostly talks about the Jewish community in Florida that is Cuban, like, fled from Cuba to, which is actually pretty close by. Cuba is very close to Florida, so I guess it makes sense. I don't know how many of them went to Chicago, but since they were very involved with the Cuban community in Florida, maybe they were as well in Chicago. We don't know. Joshua Siwak, this isn't even new information. Almost every Cuban gang were CIA asset. The Cuban gangs would smuggle and gun run for the CIA with the promise of taking Cuba back. This has been known for years. Oh, really? Well, that makes sense. I really think, like, I don't understand how can you not have Cuba. Like, my sister just went to Cuba and she was almost arrested by the like she almost got questioned by the secret police in Cuba when she was there, but apparently that's not that uncommon. Like she described Cuba like they don't have anything. I mean, she's not the first. Like my sister went now, but my cousin went several years ago, and the situation is dire, pretty much. So it was interesting. She asked people about the situation there and what they think, and she said like, so it's complicated. But I was thinking like, just and like honestly speaking, here's the thing that she said: Cuba is unbelievably gorgeous, and obviously she'd been to Miami and many places in the US as well. And I said, how does it compare? And she said, it does not compare. Cuba is so much prettier than almost any place in the United States. And all I can think is like, why aren't you taking that? Take it. Like literally take it. They're so just by the island. I don't know, just shoot the heads. Like, how can it be? Why is it really that hard? They're so poor there, like literally. Why is it so hard? Take it. It's so pretty. And like all I could think is such a shame. Such a shame. And on top of that, it's not even cheap. Even though she said like she went to like the restaurants that they have there, like the food is not cheap, but it was like 5-star restaurants, all of them, that she actually went to. And also my cousin said that the best coffee she had in her life was in Cuba. It took them 2 hours to make it in some ranch in a random place. And she thought like, this is a weird place. Yeah, so I don't know, like, how can you have Cuba next to you and you're just not taking it over? And also, it's incredible, the cars there are still running, even though the cars are from the 50s. They probably have the best mechanics in the world there. Like, they learned how to, like, those cars are still running. Like, they had to learn how to fix cars on a very low level, high level kind of situation. Anyway. All I'm saying, it's a very pretty place. I don't understand, like, how can you have this gem next to you and without taking over? I don't get it.
Castro leaflets and getting into a scuffle with anti-Castro Cuban exiles from the group DRE. Oswald's pro-Castro stance would have made him a natural enemy of anti-Castro Cuban exiles, like the group in Chicago. However, some theories suggest that Oswald might have been manipulated or used as a patsy by anti-Castro groups who wanted to frame him for the assassination to provoke a U.S. invasion of Cuba. Oswald had a brief connection to Chicago early in his life. He passed through the city in 1956 when he was traveling to join the Marines, and his mother, Marguerite, lived there for a short time. However, there's no direct evidence in the memo that he had contact with this group. Having said that, though, Chicago was definitely a hub for both pro and anti-pro Castro activity.
Maybe because the Windy City was known for attracting criminals in general. Like, all the criminals went there so they could have gang fights in the street. Isn't what Chicago was for? Okay, where is the fun part? Let's skip a little bit. Should I skip? Like thus far, there ain't much.
So it's possible that Oswald's movement,
everything is possible,
or affiliations might have.
You know what? Like, we should, like, I always think the way the guys imagine the Jews is that we have like a beehive mind, well connected in our brains or something, which is very weird if you actually get to know how Jews interact with each other when they're in close proximity.
Intersected with this group indirectly, perhaps through intermediaries or shared contacts in the Cuban exile community. Now, the timing of Echevarria's statement is very weird. And I think it's just a simple error, but as somebody who, conducts themselves with the utmost ethical standards.
Don't you love that you can generate so much content out of absolutely nothing?
I just want to be forthright, and I need to discuss this. The statement that was waiting to take care of Kennedy was made on November 26th, 4 days after Kennedy's assassination. So the timeline is weird. I think it's just probably a typo, especially when we look at Sergei's letter, the Russian ambassador, warning the FBI and intelligence agencies about Martin Luther King being assassinated.
Okay, this isn't an assassination. I actually want to know about Martin Luther King. I like him more. No offense to Kennedy. I tried to understand why people liked Kennedy so much. I couldn't find anything. It's so neutral for me. I don't know. I don't have any feelings for him. But I really like Martin Luther King Jr. He was I love him. Yes. I love him. I want to know what happened to him. Why was he assassinated? He was actually a person that I would have grieved for, unlike Kennedy, which is it's like being so, it's just like a yogurt that you forgot to eat in the fridge. It's like sad if you're hungry, but not too sad. Really, he was a rapist? I didn't know that. See, now I want to know even more. So if it was that, then I want to know even more. I feel like it would shatter my childhood. When we studied in English class, we went I have a dream. I really liked this poem.
About Oswald months before the assassination.
No, are you thinking about the wrong person? So there is Martin Luther. That's not Martin Luther King Jr. That's not the same person. Martin Luther started the Protestant church, the Lutheran church in, I think it was in Germany. In the 17th century or so? Yeah, he was an awful person. He didn't have a dream.
But I want to just mention that. Potential intermediaries. One possible link between Oswald and anti-Castro groups is through figures like David Ferrie, a pilot and anti-Castro activist who was investigated for his potential involvement in the Kennedy assassination. Ferrie was based in New Orleans, where Oswald lived in the summer of '63, and was associated with both the Cuban exile community and organized crime figures like Carlos Marcello, the New Orleans mafia boss. Some reports suggest Ferrie knew Oswald through the Civil Air Patrol in the 1950s. This connection has been disputed. Another potential intermediary is Guy Bannister, a former FBI agent and private investigator in New Orleans who was deeply involved in anti-Castro activities. Bannister's office at 544 Camp Street, New Orleans, was the same address Oswald used in his FPCC leaflet, suggesting a possible overlap in their activities. I mean, that can't be some kind of a coincidence. The mafia connection. If the Chicago group had ties to Chicago outfit, there could be a connection to Oswald through the broader network of organized crime. The mafia had reasons to want Kennedy dead due to their crackdown on organized crime, especially RFK, and had worked with anti-Castro Cubans and CIA plots against Castro. Some conspiracy theories suggest that Oswald might have been a pawn in a larger plot orchestrated by the mafia, with anti-Castro Cubans as willing partners.
So this is something that person who was interviewed in Turgon number 3 also kind of talked about.
Now, I always like to do a rebuttal and kind of, play the other side as well, because I think that's the best way to actually prove the credibility of previous findings. So what's unclear or missing? Direct evidence of contact. So the memo doesn't provide any direct evidence that Oswald knew or worked with this Chicago group. The role of the Jewish backers, the mention of these backers being Jews, is intriguing and vague, but it could refer to wealthy individuals or organizations in the Jewish community.
Gee, where's the conspiracy theory? I want to have fun with it. Purple Pope. Does he gonna get into conclusion anytime soon? I hope so. I mean, just amusing. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna do that as well. Okay. I want to continue. I don't know. I don't want to skip ahead because I don't know. I just thought it would be fun to react to this. Can you imagine, like, so much people are like enjoying those like, it's not a conspiracy theory as much as it's like people.
Echevarria's credibility, we don't know how reliable this guy is or Mosley is. He might have been exaggerating or boasting to impress others. It could have been as simple as that. The historical investigations and findings. So Warren Commission in 1964 concluded that Oswald acted alone. I think that's ridiculous. House Select Committee, HSC.
Speaking of acting alone and being ridiculous, I actually opened up. So you know Yitzhak Rabin, he was a prime minister and he was assassinated as well in Israel. And the person who shot him was Yigal Amir. But there are conspiracies, I don't know how conspiratorial they are, that he was actually incited and he was encouraged to do so by Secret Service people that by trying to find people that might do something like that, pushed them and radicalized them to actually do that.
CIA revisited the case and concluded that Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. The committee investigated anti-Castro Cuban groups. Later investigations, we had declassified documents.
I did watch it before, by the way. I did watch it before, and I thought it would be fun to react. I know it's not something I usually do. I don't usually do like this kind of reactions, but I don't know. I was like, it might be fun. The cat lady, I think it makes sense that it's the Jewish mafia. Just think, the Italians, obviously it's the Italian mafia, right? So the Jews in this time in Chicago most likely are the Jewish mafia. I think that makes sense as well, yeah.
In 1992, that revealed a lot more. The CIA organized crime, however, no smoking gun has been directly connected to the Chicago group in Oswald. So in summary, really quickly, the quote-unquote...
So in summary, really quickly, you're asking why Ehud Barak is referred as Satan and disliked by some Israelis here. Okay, because I'm going to show you. I talked about him in... a little bit in a video I made, but he was inciting for violence and rebellion in Israel. And he has a lot to do with the left globalists. And I kind of actually think this is a more interesting part of a discussion we could have, but I don't know if that many know about Ehud Barak. Ehud Barak was also mentioned in the Epstein files, and it's been a theory, it's been a rumors that been running for a while in Israel that he is a PDF file that should be in jail. And the thing is that he's super involved with all the Kaplan protests and all the anti-government actions and movements that are active in Israel. And there are a lot of videos of him where he literally like plans how to bring Israel down to its knees. And I had a conversation about it, and I think I put it on members only right now because I thought like I had a conversation about it like a long time ago. I put it on members only because I didn't like the thumbnail. So I thought I'll change the thumbnail and then bring it back to public view. But then I realized it's also like nobody knows who Ehud Barak is, so I might film explaining who he was. But he was in Sayed Matkal, I think he was leading Sayed Matkal. He's like he was had a lot has a like vast and very impressive resume when it comes to his army service and then in politics. But when he was elected to a prime minister, he was kicked out of office, basically with most of the nation throwing eggs at him, so he would run out of the office. And my personal theory is that ever since that happened, he had swore to take revenge on the whole country and bring Israel down. And he had been cooperating with people who don't have Israel's favor in mind. But it also could be that he's, I don't know, just a leftist, always been a leftist, and this is just the natural trajectory of his mindset, and not because he wants to take any special revenge for being kicked out of office, but it's more likely that he was kicked out of office because he had such stupid understanding of reality to begin with. Might be both. Yeah. Purple. Yeah, it's something. He also sold out the South Lebanon army, betrayed them. He has bloods of thousands in his hands, 100%. So he did Afghanistan style in Lebanon. So, you know, the Biden withdrawal from Afghanistan, he did the same thing in Lebanon. And this is why he was also, I think, pushed out of office. I remember like him playing the piano after he was kicked out, and it was super dramatic with like the 3 supporters he had left. So the rest of the countries, minus those 3, didn't really like him or support him with his awful decisions. He also wanted to sell out half of the country to the Palestinians and have a Palestinian state. Thank goodness. When it comes to having a Palestinian state, the Arabs always save us from ourselves when it comes to that. He is an evil genius. He is a genius. The man is brilliant, yet he is not loved by many, especially not the closest to him. And he is a master puppet here and is capable of a lot, and he is a billionaire. Yeah. He is an evil through and through. He sounds and acts like a villain. So maybe his conspiracy, his want to bring down Israel and ruin the country, actually started before he became a prime minister. Who knows? Because, you know, otherwise it doesn't fit my theory, right? Because, like, if you look at my theory, then he should have acted in a way that was destructive towards Israel after he was publicly humiliated in front of the whole nation. But he actively acted to ruin Israel when he was the actual prime minister, meaning when he was put in the most honorable position the country had to offer, So he was still acting the same way. So maybe his vengeance started way earlier. I don't know. I don't know. And there are parts here that talk about, you know what? I kind of feel like, does it say anything interesting at some point? Oh, yeah. Let's keep it about the parts that talk about the brackets that were removed about the Mossad. Just a minute. The Israeli intelligence service. I kind of should have skipped to that point to begin with, to be honest. Anyway, I really want that to go public. I want people to know, and I want the media to cooperate with information that this Ehud Barak, that was an Israeli, like, listen, why are all those conspiratory people love blaming the Jews for everything, but when it comes to having an actual former prime minister of Israel named Ehud Barak, they don't talk about him enough. I want him. This is a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's something I want to go public, because I want this man out of the picture. He's 80 something. I wish he could just get a stroke or something. By the way, don't blame me for him being assassinated or something just because I said that, because literally I don't want him to actually get that. I want him to live until 120, but rot in jail. And be humiliated and studied, as in the most awful, embarrassing thing that the political system in Israel had produced. That's the fate. I want his name to be disgraced and shamed for history. So, yeah, I want all those things to be exposed. And I was thinking, okay, there is a former prime minister that appeared in the Epstein files, and all the conspiracy theories, they worked and blah, blah, blah. Make it big, talk about it. Talk about it in a sense that even the Israeli media, which is completely bought up by the media, could not ignore it. Talk about it so that the mainstream Israeli media could not ignore it. And finally, this person would be chased out to the jail cell he belongs. I want to know everything about him. I want these things to be public. I really, really want it to be public. I want it to be shown I want his name to be associated with the evil Jew. He's an evil Jew. And finally there is an evil Jew when we can all agree with. I want him to be chased by the whole world.
In this intelligence document that was just unredacted yesterday. In the highlighted portion at the top of your screen, it says the CIA has no objection to declassification and or release of CIA information in this document.
You know what? I'm going to get back to that because I kind of want to show you the video that that I shared, which is members only right now. I wonder if I'm a member of my own channel. I don't know if I am. Okay, you know what? It's gonna be easier for me. I'm just gonna open it to the public, and then I can watch it from whatever, and then I can explain what it's going on in the little video I made about the Ehud Barak. Who nobody knows who he is. I knew if I talk about the Ehud Barak, nobody's gonna. Do you guys know who that is? Did you guys ever hear about the Ehud Barak? Let me do a poll here. Did you know who Ehud Barak is? Okay. Shit, I left the answers in Hebrew. I'm so stupid. Can I edit that? No. And again. Did you know who Ehud Barak is? And now I need to change it to yes and no in English. Okay. Now I can do that. Okay. Oh, so you all okay? So the most of you know. Oh wow, the most of you do. Michai, I'm not exaggerating. This little piece of... You think I'm exaggerating because nobody talks about it in the mainstream media. This little piece of... Huh? Wait, what is this? Breaking? Are we under attack or something? 2 city bases and we're under attack, I think. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so the most of you know who Ehud Barak is. No, I don't have access to my own. Cannot open it. Okay, so here is a little bit of a compilation I made. Ugh, I should have made it. All right. Let me share. So this is Netanyahu complaining about the media not mentioning or talking about Mr. Ehud Barak. Now, why is it stuck now? Also, I want to know what's happening. It's as like we're being attacked, but I'm not aware of it. I saw 2CTV making that claim. You guys having fun without me or what? Also, to be honest, kind of really need to go to the bathroom, so hard when you're alive and you're alone. What am I supposed to do? You know what? I think this video, I'll just let you watch it. I'm not gonna strike, like I'm not gonna, what's it called? I can show my own videos, right? Without getting a copyright strike, so that's nice. All right, so I don't know. I don't see anything that's happening. It's about the attack from Gaza an hour ago. Okay. Bedpan. Joshua, what is a bedpan? Okay. Okay, you guys. Okay, it's something from Yemen. Who knows? Yeah, something with the name Barak is really bad, right? Because it's Ehud Barak, Aharon Barak, and Barack Obama. All of them are awful. Like, all of them. Thank you for your support, Joshua. Does the name Barak make you evil? Is this what's happening? No, come on. Start playing. Okay. I'm gonna leave you here for a moment and watch this.
This affair is called the Epstein affair. Jeffrey Epstein. But for some reason, Ehud Barak is invited again and again to the studios, it seems to me, including today.
To call on everyone, every person, and every entity in the country to do what they can, including understanding that this won't end without a tribal strike of tens of thousands surrounding the Knesset, a shutdown of all entities in the country, and the call is to everyone. To the Histadrut Labor Union, to the Bar Association, to youth movements, to secular pre-military programs, to women building, to teachers, to social workers, to every entity in the country.
person like Ehud Barak, which was
אהוד
always
ברק, מה
always
הוא
a
עשה
psychopath.
לנו? אוי, כן, מה הוא עשה?
He was always
Like,
a psychopath, though.
כן,
A jealous,
but
ugly,
wow.
small man with
I
psychopath.
mean, what he did with Lebanon, giving that territory over to Lebanon, we didn't have a peace agreement with them. Why would you give territory back that you won in a defensive war where you're and he was the Ramatkal. You know, he was the Ramatkal. How long was he Ramatkal?
No. When we left Lebanon, he was the prime minister.
No, I know, but he was also the Ramatkal for like a very long time, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
He scares me a lot. I really wish that he would
He's
just
scary.
not be in politics anymore.
Yeah. Why is he still active?
Why does he
Dude,
why does he want us to commit suicide? Why does he want us to do that? Why? What is it? It's very scary.
I think it's personal vengeance.
For what?
He's just that kind of person. Personal vengeance.
Yeah, but he won't stop. What party was he again? Was he? Yeah,
he was basically humiliated out of office. Do you think he's the kind of person who wouldn't like go on a revenge against the whole country? He's exactly the kind of person who would try to avenge his humiliating experience when the whole country basically kicked him out of office in the most disgraceful way.
Well,
because it is.
Yeah. The thing
he's
is
exactly the kind of person who would try to bring the country down as
he did. I mean, he offered.
That's what he's doing.
He offered.
That's what he's trying to do. Is exactly that a person.
He offered Yudah to Shomron to Arafat, of all people. It's like, but it is really scary who is running our.
Do you guys know what's weird? For some reason, like I lost connection. I cannot hear myself. Like I cannot hear the computer. What am I saying there? What did I say? Anyway, I also have like a longer video because I saw Netanyahu in the beginning, like I cut it short. Yeah. He's like this person keeps getting invited. And the media, the Israeli media, like I want something for the Israeli media to not ignore the fact that this douchebag is still out there and is does whatever he does.
Internal police and who is running our external police, who's running the show. It's
why can I not hear?
They clearly don't.
I don't even know what I like. Why am I eating? I'm probably hungry. I cannot hear. What am I supposed to do?
appear to be related to reality, these analysts. And that's frightening. It's frightening that you and I can have, I think, a better idea about what's going on.
Okay. Why can I not hear myself, the computer? Okay, so I don't know if you guys watched. Did you guys watch this? And this one. He's on 12 and 13 every week, with no one other than Amit Segal giving him any pushback. Man, those people at the Israeli mainstream media, I hate him so much, especially that there are so many Israelis who are so painfully stupid and use, like, they only watch those channels. They think those channels, like, are reliable for news. I know so many homes, especially like who always have this channel on, right? So the 12th channel, ever since like forever, the beginning of time, they have the 12, like the channel 12, like open 24/7, and he gets invited. This piece of shit. I want him, like, why? There are so many conspiracies, and then when there is some truth to it, when there is truth to it, there is somebody who was a former prime minister that was named Ehud Barak, that was in Epstein affairs and appears in so many places where clearly shows that he's evil. Why is there no? I want all the conspiracy theorists in the world, all those people who shout the Jews, to finally be useful and shout about this particular. I want all of them. I want their attention to Ehud Barak, all of them. Cadence Owens, where's Cadence Owens with her idiotic theories about Frankensteins and people who are dead? I don't want you to talk about dead people. I want you to talk about Ehud Barak. And if you talk about Ehud Barak, like, use your conspiracy theory powers for good. For good. That's what I have to say. Oh yeah, for the goys, this is accurate. 12 is like CNN, 13 is like MSNBC. Anyway, I need to figure out why I cannot hear anything. No. You guys can hear it, right? Oh no, you cannot hear it because I'm not. Did you see the interview he did about war crimes? What I don't listen. I don't want to look at Ehud Barak if it's not absolutely necessary. I met him in real life once, and I thought he was. That was my honest reaction. Am I going deaf? Maybe Jane. Maybe I'm going deaf. But I can hear stuff, except not when they come from my computer. That's the problem. What do I do? Is it just, did they run out of battery or something? What's wrong with my earphones? What's wrong? I think I'll try these ones instead. Maybe this ones would work, but even though I'm pretty sure they don't have any battery. Okay, let's try those. Maybe this way I would be able to hear. Yeah, those work. Okay, good. La 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 la. Have fun. Have fun. Oh, Jonathan, thank you so much for noticing. Yes, I have 30,000 subscribers now. All right. So here, he said some smart things. Oh, I mean, I don't know if he said smart things, but there are a couple of things that he said that I want to play. One of them, just general JFK involvement with the mafia, maybe just for fun, since. But he talks about the involvement of the CIA with the Mossad and the MI5, and the other interest. It talks about the Ehud Barak here, which is interesting, and it talks about how America, which this was my favorite part, how America fights against dictators in other countries. Except it's not necessarily dictators, but it's also legitimate governments that they don't like because they are they've been taken over by globalists like Obama. And Obama was the number one, like he led campaigns against the Israeli government like crazy. Yeah. All right, everybody. If Tusi is coming to visit Israel and looking for people to interview, how about if you love me, which I hope you do, go to his channel and write, you should interview Rebecca Bersef or Twitter or wherever. That would really help me out. Thank you. Yeah. If you could do that, that would be amazing. I would love to talk to him or with him. Yes. All right. Okay, let's find the important parts. Okay, let's start with the intro because this is where the juicy things are stated.
If it turned out that our own intelligence services were involved in or allowed purposely the assassination of our own president, that would have, I think, implications diplomatically for U.S. standing abroad. So this is really one of the first litmus tests about how serious the Trump administration is about cleaning up the agencies.
So what's the real story of Jeffrey Epstein?
Where I am on it currently.
Wait, who do I have a crush on? I have a crush? Who is it? I want to know. Who is the crush I am having?
Currently is it does seem like Epstein was an access agent. There's a question of how much smoke do you need to have before you just come out and say, there's a dang fire.
Mike, welcome to Trigonometry.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on. We are sitting here on the day that allegedly the JFK files are going to be released. Yeah. Do we know what's in them?
We don't. It could be, there could be bombshells. It could be a nothing burger. There could be bombshells that are redacted. I know that the president has come out and said that he's going to try to prevent any redactions from, when Pam Bondi declared that they were going to come out a while ago, she said subject to, redactions about national security concerns around the I guess this was around the Epstein disclosures, and that prompted this sort of public backlash. What could undermine U.S. national security about what's in the Epstein documents? And I think there's a similar perception about the JFK assassination, that there are implications for national security and for American standing if it does turn out that there was malfeasance or foreknowledge coming from the national security state. So there's a lot of very strange evidence around the role of our own intelligence services in the death of JFK. It's a great book called JFK and the Unspeakable, which documents much.
Actually, now what is mentioned in Professor Nez video is kind of relevant. So I might be jumping back and forth between them.
Of this, the CIA was opening the mail, for example, of Lee Harvey Oswald for months before the assassination, suspecting formally that he was it was a counterintelligence probe, basically, that he might be working for Russia. And so They were basically monitoring his communications and mail beforehand. You have a number of other strange circumstances around the events that happened that day. And if it did turn out, for example, that there was a role of our own intelligence services in that assassination, you can imagine the diplomatic backlash that would have for our own State Department, right? When we go around and we accuse...
Guys, at this point, there is no backlash. We already know, like, you guys, like the USAID and the things that were happening ever since Obama, it was so brutally, like, in our faces against, supporting the spring in the Arab Spring and the Muslim Brotherhood, and financing all the problems we have here. Like like the Americans have been doing, like, I guess the Europeans too. It's been so much in our faces that literally, like, you cannot make it worse even if you assassinated your own president. I promise you that.
The FSB or something in Russia, or Chinese intelligence services or Iranian intelligence services of malfeasance or human rights violations. If it turned out that our own intelligence services were involved in or allowed purposely the assassination of...
Every day your comment is so funny, I have to stop and read it. He has a great radio voice and face. But the juice... I want juice. I'm thirsty. Oh my god, don't clip that. I'm really, like, my throat is dry. Okay, I'm out of water. I might go bring some water and let you guys watch it.
Our own president.
Careful with this video. Stop every few seconds so you won't get copyrighted. You're speaking from experience. Okay, I don't care about a lot of the things he says.
Especially one whose name lives on in...
But there are a few things that he said that I wanna show. Therefore, I'm gonna use the, where is it? The part where you can hear here. This one. I don't know. I don't know if they do. Where is Ehud? It's probably not gonna get it, right? Here, Barak. Okay. It's wrote Ehud Barak. That's funny. Okay, how many Ehud Barak do we have? And I wanna... You guys can watch it later. But there is a part where, like, my favorite part that he talked about is how to bring, like, how to fight against other governments. But I want to see all the, like, did he say anything about, like, okay, so there's one. Okay, so there are two parts where he talks about the Ehud Barak. Ehud Barakush. Ehud Barak. Okay, how much? Okay, let's go maybe a minute earlier. Okay, it talks about something that is unrelated actually before that.
need to say what was necessarily on it. You can imagine the multi-million-dollar book deal you get by claiming that you are the victim of this, of this extortion. And the fact that not a single person, to my knowledge, has come out and said that is, it doesn't sit well with me that that should just be presupposed in that way. If you look at, for example, Epstein's relationship with people like Ehud Barak, who's, the
little piece of shit. 1999 to 2001. That's two. I remember 2 years. It could be 2 years, but still, it's, bro, this person.
Former Prime Minister of Israel, was constantly at Jeffrey Epstein's penthouse.
See, why isn't big? Why is he still invited to anything at all? Huh? Okay, I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Hope that there would be no strike, because I really need to get myself some water in the meantime. So, you guys.
You might say, okay, well, no one wants to come forward because they don't want to reveal that they had been blackmailed. But, people can be down on their luck and have little to lose and much to gain. I mean, frankly, you don't even need to say what was necessarily on it. You can imagine the multi-million-dollar book deal you get by claiming that you are the victim of this, of this extortion. And the fact that not a single person, to my knowledge, has come out and said that is, it doesn't sit well with me that that should just be presupposed in that way. If you look at, for example, Epstein's relationship with people like Ehud Barak, who was, the former Prime Minister of Israel, was constantly at Jeffrey Epstein's penthouse. Ehud Barak was working closely with the West Exec, which was the main sort of foreign policy, national security, intelligence incubator hub for the Biden White House. That was where Jake Sullivan and all of these other national security experts were, and they were consulting with Ehud Barak, and Ehud Barak was tightly aligned with them on foreign policy against Trump world things. I suspect that Epstein was sort of synthesizing in the network. Same thing with Reid Hoffman. I know that there's Elon currently has a feud with Reid Hoffman, who's sponsored a number of these anti-Trump, anti-Elon groups.
Did I miss something interesting? What are you guys saying? Okay. Where am I? Where are we? Let's see. Oh, maybe. Do you guys want to see me? Here I am. I brought a cake. I got hungry as well. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay. All right, fine. And I guess we finished the first part about Ehud Barak, the little piece of shit. Let's go to the second part. He said Barak was in line with the Dems and anti-Trump, yes. And anti-Israel, as well, obviously that is, can be taken interpreted. Yeah, yes. Cake fixed a lot of problems. Yeah, one press. Yes, I agree. Well, I'm sorry. I always get hungry in the middle of the night, so. Okay, with Barak part 2.
Question. Why do you think that the Epstein files haven't been released?
I think for the same national security reason that that we've been talking about, which is that whether it's U.S. intelligence, British intelligence, Israeli intelligence, whether it's implicating specific things about those networks or about the modalities through which those networks operate. So, for example, if those files show that Epstein belonged to intelligence and was reporting directly his conversations about the Iran deal, about his conversations with Ehud Barak to...
I don't, you know, like, if Ehud Barak was talking to him, I don't think he was like, I mean, I guess we need to check the years, but since Netanyahu is clearly so much against Ehud Barak, and it seems like the Mossad, the head of the Mossad actually came out in defense of Netanyahu. Well, whoever Barak is working for, I don't think it's the Mossad and Epstein, since they are such good friends. I think they're on the opposite spectrums of the Israeli politics. That's my conspiracy theory.
To Bill Burns, I guess that was after it, but to the CIA director or to the Justice Department or to the FBI, you can imagine that straining relations between U.S. and Israel. If it comes out that there's a CIA memo that says, we know this about Epstein, he's doing this work for us, but he's also doing this work for the Brits or for the Israelis, you could see a situation where you might have delegations from those governments pushing on the State Department, pushing on the CIA, pushing on FBI, pushing on the Justice Department to not do that because it implicates their own national security. And this gets back to this sort of strange entanglement within the intelligence world where you have these intelligence coalitions. You have them in the Five Eyes.
I think maybe they don't want to publish it because they don't want people to know that they work with Ehud Barak to undermine the Israeli government. But everybody knows that, so it's not a secret anymore. Thank you, Trump. Publish it. Publish it. Why is it not a big deal? Why? I mean, it is published. Mm-hmm. Hmm? Anyway, what are you guys saying? What are you guys talking about? Where are we in this conversation? I ate cake.
And so, in theory, I mean, you can imagine a situation where, let's just say there's some joint intelligence work the U.S. is doing with New Zealand. And there's some common network that we're surveying. We have assets on the ground. Let's just say we're doing something in like...
Yeah, I don't care about New Zealand. Okay. I have a question. While I was bringing myself some cake and water and God knows what, did he, like, at some point talk about the revolution part? The undermining governments, foreign governments? Because I don't know if we talked about it already or do I need to look it up? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's find it. Let's find it. I love this video that is doesn't require a lot of brain cells because it's so ridiculous to begin with. Even though with Bach, it's not ridiculous. I want this person in jail. You guys, can we just can somebody write an email to Get and so and say like, I have like this beautiful anti-Jewish thing for you, and tell her about Ehud Barak, please. Please. Like, I hate it. Or Tucker Carlson even. No, Tucker Carlson is not gonna cooperate with it. But Cat and so She might take the bait. I would have written it myself, but I'm too lazy. Like, I thought about it right now, but I'm very lazy, so... Can somebody? Please? Yes, please? Whose interview? Who are we talking about? Yeah, please, yes, she found the chief anarchist. Yeah, listen, let's use her. Let's use her. Let's get it. Let's get it big. If Karen don't talk about it. And then we can publicly like gather all the Israelis, all the Jews in the like public square in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv and hang the chief Frankist. And so peace would be found. This is like, that was my suggestion. She started talking about Frankists and stuff and their PDF files and supporters and stuff. I said, like, give us the people, give us the names. We're going to hang them. You don't need to worry about it. We'll hang them. The Israelis will. We agree on that, you know, if you have like people. So here's a person. We can actually make it happen. And that would be like the path to like the greatest reconciliation ever made. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That sounds awful, Steve. Trudeau quit and you guys actually worse. How can you be worse than this person? Okay. I feel like I wanted to do something smart, but what was it? Oh, yeah. The toppling governments. How do I find it? What kind of words would they use? Okay, strike. For sure, strike. Yeah, no. That's not. Okay. I know. Union workers, probably. Where are the unions? Well, they talk a lot about unions. Okay. Well, it talks about it. So early? Okay. Random, but let's try that.
You know, the JFK assassination and aftermath, and they both involve this overworld underworld connection. You had the Teamsters that were alleged to have had a role in it. You had the fight with the unions. The unions play a really interesting role in statecraft because they serve as rent-a-riot muscle when we're trying to destabilize a country, when we're doing color revolution work to try to mobilize a wellspring within a country to unseat its government. The first thing we do is we go to the trade labor groups, the unions, the workers' movements in the country, and then we try to destabilize the industry from within. We cause mass.
And notice the little piece of shit. Did I close it? Here. Notice what
This
the
affair is
little
called
piece
the
of
Epstein
shit did
affair.
here.
Today.
To call on everyone.
By the way, like, I don't know why I cut it off, but after that he said he described how the media interviews Ehud Barak with like the most respect and love and appreciation.
every person and every entity in the country to do what they can, including understanding that this won't end without a tribal strike of tens of thousands surrounding the Knesset, a shutdown of all entities in the country, and the call is to everyone. To the Histadrut Labor Union, to the Bar Association, to youth movements, to secular pre-military programs, to women building, to teachers, to social workers, to every entity in the country.
Yeah. It's what they do. And do you think they don't know this is how you destabilize? Of course they do it on purpose. They destabilize the whole country.
Mass walkouts. We, have people, instead of making sure the trains run on time, they're walking out of the hospitals. They're walking out of the state-run media organizations. They're walking out of, daycare. They're blocking the highways, and that brings the instruments of a dictator to a halt, as we sort of put it. They can't weaponize their own power arm because there's nobody, there's nobody to basically man those stations of power. And oftentimes, these are rough and tumble types who will take to the streets, especially if they're getting money on the side from a USAID or a National Endowment for Democracy or a State Department. That's why we have the National Endowment for Democracy has a specific center called the Solidarity Center, which the NED is effectively a CIA front. It was conceived in the office of the Central Intelligence Agency Director, William Casey, in 1983. It was sort of replacing the old
what goes around comes around, as they say.
CIA function after the CIA got in trouble in the 1970s during the Church Committee hearings. And they have an arm called the Solidarity Center, which goes out around the world and works with the unions. And the unions are very close to the organized crime nexus. I mean, this is something that is not just a sort of Hollywood theme or like a Sopranos style theme where you have, the unions and the mafia, but this goes back a very long time because you have these rough and tumble types who will, do dirty deeds done dirt cheap. They are often at the exact nexus of the logistics chain for intelligence work. So, for example, if we are running arms to rebels in Nicaragua, as we were doing during the Iran-Contra scandal.
That's not interesting anymore. Okay, let's go back to Professor Nez here, even though you guys don't like it. But, did I? Yeah, I already talked about the cooperation of the Mossad and the CIA and stuff. Okay, let's talk about the thing that people were excited about, the Israeli intelligence service.
Except that this group knew or worked with Lee Harvey Oswald. However, I mentioned all the potential connections.
Oh, you're actually, there is one legit question. Why am I not talking about what is going on in Turkey now? Because I didn't spend enough time collecting information and understanding like how likely it is that we're gonna see it go towards this direction or the other. I also didn't collect enough information about who is backing what side. Like clearly it looks like the West is backing Erdogan, right? But I should talk about it with my first friends in Turkey, which back at the time, I asked them about what's going on with Erdogan. And let me actually talk about Turkey for a second, because I wanna bring the conversation I had with my friend who is Turkish, and I talked about Turkey with him like a long time ago, and I need to ask him what's up. But at that, I kind of wonder what he told me at the time, because I asked him about the Islamization of Turkey. All right, so where is my friend? My friend here. When did we talk? Here. Okay. Let's see what he told me, because I asked him about it like a long time ago. I told him like, well, Turkey is becoming super Islamic, so what's up with that? And oh, Investory, thank you so much. Smash the like, everyone. It's free. And the reason, by the way, it's loading, the conversation is loading, so I'm waiting for it to load. And the best way to support Rebecca is super chat, super stickers, go Patreon, or go to buy me coffee. And if you buy me coffee, they're gonna be pop, and you're gonna see it on screen, which I miss out every time it happens for some reason. Wait a bit. Was it now? Oh, you guys, Carlos Rodriguez said, I guess your supporters forgot you eat off screen also. I don't know what is that about, but thank you. I wish it was longer, like the plugin, where when there is a message from somebody who sent a message on buy me coffee. I wish it was longer. Why does it take so long for Instagram to fetch the messages? Okay, here's the conversation I had about Turkey with my friend who shall stay anonymous. All right, so I said, yeah, my Turkish friend got an arrest warrant for speaking against Islam. And he wrote, haha, Tayyip Erdogan, laughing emojis, faces. Oh, he says I'm not a Muslim. Wait. Where is it? Okay. Okay, so he's like, okay, come to Turkey. And I was like, I don't know. Turkey seems to be not legit right now. And then we talked about, like, he told me, he confessed that he's not Muslim. And I said, like, what are you? And he said, I don't believe. And then I talked about, like, my friend getting an arrest warrant. And I said, aha, Tayyip Erdogan, Turkish. And it says Turkey is safe. And I said, I don't know. They sometimes arrest Israelis randomly. I mean, it doesn't seem like... Okay, I asked, like, do you want to be like Iran? Ah, here, John Selborg, have a coffee. Thank you so much for your support. Anyway, and by the way, this support is way better because they don't take 50% the way YouTube does. So, do you... Oh, and then I said Tayyip Erdogan will go. And then I said, when he goes, I'll come to party. Or maybe this is what gave them motivation. Now we know. I promised my friend that if Tayyip Erdogan goes, I'll go to party in Turkey. And he says, like, yes, I've been feeling it lately, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, my friend said he's going to get rid of Tayyip Erdogan for me so I can come party in Turkey. So this is the conversation that we'd had. Now I kind of need to ask him what's up. I mean, let me ask him. And I know I need to talk about Turkey, but I want to understand, like, thoroughly what's going on there. And I wasn't following Turkey too closely lately because, first of all, I've been sick. Second, I guess I didn't feel like it either. Okay, I'm asking him what's up. I actually have more friends in Turkey. I should ask several of them. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to the Epstein JFK files, because it's fun.
Connections. So it's worth going deeper. It's worth knowing that this is one piece of a larger puzzle. So I want to share.
I wanted to say, like, that's what she said after he said it's worth going deeper, but my timing was off.
This. So there's two highlighted areas in this intelligence document that was just unredacted yesterday. In the highlighted portion at the top of your screen, it says the CIA has no objection to declassification and or release of CIA information in this document, except brackets. What's in brackets right there at the middle of your screen? Let me zoom in. Is the Israeli intelligence service. And we're going to talk
The plot thickens.
about a guy by the name of James Angleton. Also, in another memorandum, okay, this was dated in 1954. At the very bottom, there is a circled portion which states the same exact thing. The CIA has no objection to declassification and or release of CIA information except the brackets. And you can see what is in brackets. The term Israel. So I ask you very seriously, why would the CIA want to redact any mention?
Because maybe they're embarrassed. It's like the lover you don't want the world to know about, like where the secret girlfriend people are embarrassed of. I think the reason Israel was redacted was because it was like, can you imagine? Not only that they depend on Israeli intelligence when it comes to the Middle East, they even need Israeli intelligence outside of the Middle East. Like, I think it's an ego thing, to be honest.
Mention of the word Israel or Israel intelligence. This memo refers to a pivotal figure in U.S. intelligence, particularly within the CIA, by a man by the name of James Angleton. And in the memo, it says, in the way of background, the control file was created to give the opportunity of closely monitoring our liaison with Angleton on a variety of matters which were permitted Angleton to run several intelligence projects, many of them with, in the brackets highlighted, the Israeli Intelligence Service. He was given authority by CIA to handle these projects and report only to the director of the CIA. Only to the director of the CIA. So let's talk a little bit about James Angleton. I don't want to get too much into the bio.
Actually, this part is interesting. I don't know why I tortured you with the whole Cuban mafia conspiracy theory that was backed by the Jews before getting to this part.
This is where
it's like literally like the first 20 minutes you should have been like a sentence, maybe like 5 minutes.
Israel gets involved, and maybe, just maybe, when Echevarria in that previous memo said we're being backed by the Jews, which back in those days, it was just openly, you would say things like that.
You still say things like that. I don't know where did we stop saying the Jews at some point? Because I don't think so. The Jews.
Whether it was anti-Semitic or not, or just a matter of identification. But this is really, really important. He was, if you look at right here, he was head of counterintelligence.
Yeah, it's anti-Semitic. I'm not a Jew. I'm Rebecca. Call me Rebecca. I'm just kidding. Unless it's in this kind of context, call me a Jew. I want to stay anonymous, but wink, wink.
Angleton was responsible for identifying and countering espionage, including Soviet moles, within Western intelligence agencies. His work was marked by an intense focus on secrecy, paranoia about infiltration, and a meticulous approach to intelligence analysis, earning him the nickname Mother among some colleagues. He was deeply involved in high-profile cases such as the defection of Soviet KGB agents, Anatoly Golitsyn, and Yuri Nosenko, which shaped his...
Okay, this is the real conspiracy theory I'm after. What kind of... Why is it what kind of situation brings the nickname Mother when it comes to a man and not father? Like, what am I missing? What is like more motherly in, like, what earns you the nickname Mother versus father? Yeah, just a question.
His worldview and led to widespread suspicion within the CIA. So his connection to Israeli intelligence. In these newly unredacted files, Angleton suppressed ties to Israeli intelligence, specifically the Mossad. According to the Post, which is the memo, Angleton subverted President John F. Kennedy's policy by preventing Israel from acquiring nuclear weapons. This is a stance Kennedy took due to concerns.
What is saying? Angleton subverted policy of preventing Israel from acquiring nuclear weapons. A stance Kennedy took due to the concerns about nuclear proliferation in the Middle East. May Hamid further, Mossad had reportedly praised Angleton as the biggest Zionist of them all. Okay, web results such as Washington confirmed Angleton played a crucial role in forging early ties between CIA and Mossad in the 50s and 60s, when U.S.-Israel relations were strained. He helped Israel obtain tactical nuclear data and established a foundation for intelligence cooperation that persisted today. Okay, cool. That's interesting.
About nuclear proliferation in the Middle East. Mayor Amit, a former Mossad head, reportedly praised Angleton as, quote, the biggest Zionist of them all, indicating a deep...
Well, you guys have theories about the mother. I should address them. Saying one of life's greatest mystery. Mother Spec Ops codename, Medal of Honor, Warfighter. I don't know what you're saying. Okay. Mother, the country you were born. Father, the country you are from, maybe. That depends on the language. So Michael saying, I don't think mother was meant affectionately, maybe. Very weird, right? Oh, the heretic. Love you, Rebecca. Well, I love you too, maybe. I don't know you, but could be. I love all of you, you know. Maybe. Actually, no, I don't.
Personal and professional affinity with Israel. And WikiLeaks Post and the Washington Post confirm that Angleton played a crucial role in forging early ties between the CIA and Mossad in the 50s and 60s. Angleton's relationship with Israel was a personal one as well as professional. He developed a strong affection for Israel, possibly influenced by his feelings about the Holocaust. Now, here's the important stuff. The role in the JFK assassination in this newly unredacted file. So, these files show that Angleton's counterintelligence unit maintained a secret file on Lee Harvey Oswald, the alleged assassin of JFK. Historian John Newman, as cited in Kennedy's and King's, refers to this file as the smoking file. This is really important right here. The smoking file. Why? Because the discrepancies and lies surrounding it suggests the CIA, under Angleton's oversight, may have had significant involvement in or knowledge of Oswald's activities prior to the assassination.
Do you think this person was like his relationship with Israel is what is like Barak, like Ehud Barak is with the Democratic Party? So like, can you believe that we had a prime minister that serves a foreign government? He was actually a prime minister. At least this guy is only a CIA agent, allegedly helping a foreign government. And I don't think Ehud Barak is an American either. So, Phil Johnson, thank you so much for welcome 5 new members. Thank you so much.
And of course, the CIA has denied this. Also, it notes that Angleton hid documents from the Warren Commission, which was, again, you guys know, the official investigation into JFK's assassination, potentially obstructing a full understanding of the event. So this is absolutely insane. And then before he died, he expressed disillusionment with the intelligence community, stating, listen to
you guys, my friend, there are updates from Turkey. Oh my God, he says that the situation is really bad. Oh my God. Okay, let's continue with that. We said we're gonna have fun today. Turkey. We have to talk about Turkey. Another day. Need to. But it's interesting. Oh my God. I kind of wonder if I can call him and ask him information. I'm gonna tell you that like people are asking on my YouTube channel what's going on. Okay, let's continue that in the meantime.
This. The better you lied. Oh, I gotta highlight this. This is huge. The better you lied and the better you betrayed, the more you betrayed, the more likely you would be promoted. Outside of their duplicity, the only thing they had in common was a desire for absolute power. And what's the significance of this? In the context of the JFK files, the unredacted files focus on Angleton's Israeli connections, suggest that his role extended beyond U.S.-Soviet rivalry to include significant geopolitical maneuvering in the Middle East, particularly regarding Israel's nuclear ambitions. Kennedy's opposition to Israel's nuclear program may have created tension with Angleton, whose loyalty to Israel reportedly superseded his adherence to U.S. policy. Now, I don't know anything about Angleton's psychology. I looked him up. He's not even Jewish. He's of English descent. Him and his parents, English European descent. There may have been something else going on there. There may have been some sort of monetary motive. I'm not sure. More than just emotion.
Yeah, I think emotional. I think his second option is more likely.
You know, it seems like there had to have been more there, and I haven't gotten to the bottom of it. Why he would, expressly commit his loyalty far higher to Israel than to the country that employed him, the country that trusted him, the United States. The redaction of Israel-related information, as seen in other threads, indicates a long-standing effort to obscure these ties, like I showed you down below in these redacted files. So in summation, really quickly, I just want to, I know this is a long video. James Angleton's role as revealed in these files was multifaceted. He was a master of counterintelligence operative within the CIA, a key liaison with Israeli intelligence, and his figure potentially implicated in withholding critical information about the JFK assassination. His act.
Yeah, that is weird, because I don't think those two things have had much to do with each other. But I don't know.
Subverting Kennedy's nuclear policy, maintaining secret files on Oswald, and hiding documents from the Warren Commission, in my view, all add up to something very, very conspiratorial. And his legacy is one of brilliance, secrecy, and controversy, with lasting implications for U.S.-Israel intelligence cooperation and the unresolved questions about JFK's death. This is like so much. But the bottom line here is that it's bigger than Cuba, it's bigger than the Soviet Union, it's bigger than the mob, it's bigger than the CIA. What this implicates is now one of our biggest and longest standing allies in the Middle East, across the pond, the vast ocean that separates those two continents, those two superpowers, may have had a strong hand in taking out a U.S. president. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Let me know.
All right, let me share my thoughts on it. So I decided, like I said, I'm gonna add oil to the fire because it's more fun. I don't think Israel had much to do with it, but if this agent really did not withheld information about it, first of all, like I said before, I'm pretty sure like that by that point, when it comes to nukes, it probably would have been too late for Israel not to have nukes already. I think they already had them, but I wanted to share this article. So this is person who talks about the psychology of international relations. And this is actually talking about assassinations of foreign leaders and generals that go against your country. And it is something that was against international law, and Israel tried to change it so that they would have a reason and ability to legally assassinate people like Qasem Soleimani, for example. And so one second, I want to answer my friend. But what is going on in Turkey answered me, so I don't want to miss it out. Okay. What are you guys talking about? All right. I want to translate it to English. I'm going to translate it because I'm getting tired, to be honest. Oh, say it's if it's not bad. The world is run by a small number of people who are required to make fateful decisions on the psychology behind the decision and how it relates to Israel's assassination policy. Mountain of books have been written about how we make decisions, from small everyday decisions to big decisions like taking out a mortgage, buying a car, and not necessarily rational decisions, blah, blah, blah. How then are decisions that are really making difference, decisions by country, by president and prime ministers? So after, he talks about shortly after outbreak of the second Intifada in 2000, the Israeli prime minister, was that Ehud Barak? In 2000, that was Ehud Barak. Is it not named? Anyway, then the Israeli Prime Minister sought a legal way to eliminate the leaders of a terrorist organization while find the optimal balance possible within Israel's security needs, which in a morally correct world probably take precedence over legal needs and Israeli justification in the field of international law. The problem was that international law at the time justified killing for defensive purposes and the battlefield only. A legal branch, it's all Google translated, by the way, so don't blame me if you think the English is weird. The problem was that international law justified killing defensive person, but it is absolutely impossible to eliminate a person in his own by elite assassins or by target missile fire, no matter what he does in his daily routine, since this is already defined as murder and not as legitimate military operation. To this end, the Prime Minister hired the service of one of the best Israeli lawyers. His name is being withheld from the system, who drafted a complex legal document with the 5 cumulative conditions, which, if met, would define the targeted elimination of a terrorist even in his bed as a legitimate preventative military operation and not as murder. According to these conditions, for example, the elimination must only apply to commanders or fighters and not to aides or the like, and must also be outside of the sovereign territory of the eliminating state. Otherwise, they could ask, why didn't you arrest him? And that's it. If you have ever wondered why Mahmoud al-Mabkhouk was eliminated in Dubai, Abu Jihad in Tunisia, and Khaled Mashal almost eliminated in Amman, and many others, may they rest in hell and find their way to Allah. This is abroad. This is one of the reasons. A number of other similar conditions. So, in the beginning, the United States was against it, but George W. Bush rushed to the Israeli Prime Minister's office, urgently demanded the legal document. The global diplomatic arena erupted and shook the face of a few years ago, German Chancellor. What? I don't want to subscribe. Chancellor Angela Merkel officially recognized anti-Israelism and modern anti-Semitism. I don't know if it matters. It's sometimes the English is too messed up. Okay, so a fate would be a year later, September 2001, 19 terrorists, mostly Saudi, brought the United States to its knees in the largest terrorist attack in American history. Not surprisingly, U.S. President George W. Bush rushed to the Israeli Prime Minister's office, urgently demanding the vilified legal document, made it an official and completely justified international practice, and then embarked on a campaign of assassinations that knew no bounds, stretching from Europe to Kabul and Somalia to Abbottabad. What is this? Let's see. Oh, sorry. The original, 1 second. Yeah. I didn't know. Where is Abbottabad? Sounds like Pakistan or something. Let's see if there is, I want to see. Okay, so this talks about making the decision, and it's not exactly scientific, to be honest. Anyway, and then it gives an example about I don't know. I don't want to get into it too much, to be honest, because but it's funny. I thought it was interesting, and this is a different conversation about how a high member, like a highly ranked Secret Service Shabak member, had convinced the person who assassinated Rabin to actually do it. Basically by, like, they had employed a very stupid tactic in the Shabak, trying to frame Israelis that are on the right. And the way they did it is also by marrying women, by fake marriage. Of course, the woman didn't know it was fake marriage of like settlers or people they deemed to be far right. And then they would incentivize them to take extreme actions just to frame them. And that is like something that is getting more and more attention right now because of how immoral that tactic was and is. So this, I thought, something that would be fun to add. Yes, smash the like, everyone. It is free. And if you want to know what's going on about Turkey, I'm gonna tell you what my friend wrote about what's going on. So he says, so I asked him, how is Turkey doing? And he said, terribly, you are prevented from demonstrating. Everyone who opposes dictator Erdogan is detained. He sends everyone who opposes him to prison. And I said, like, isn't it too many people? And he says, universities and young people also take action on the streets every evening because of Erdogan's lawlessness. And he told me to tell you that the legal system in Turkey is not independent. It fulfills Erdogan wishes. And yeah, I'll talk to him tomorrow to see what's going on there. So it looks like they're like like they are detaining people en masse, imprisoning everybody who opposing him. And obviously my friend needs to stay anonymous, and I think I'm gonna stay and ask a couple more friends that I have in Turkey about what's going on. But it seems like the situation is not very nice, to say the least. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you had fun. And that's it. I think it's a pretty long live. It was a very... I hope you had fun. Okay, everybody. I think I'm gonna see what's going on.